The Impossible Ask, Exposing the Tyranny of Your Type. You were the one that came up with this idea. Why is this so appealing to you?
So our thought with the Impossible Ask workshop is before you go into the process of making your New Year's resolutions, maybe you should sort out what your type is trying to get you to do that isn't possible to begin with, right? Uh, we want to see you make resolutions that are based in reality, not based in the fantasy or tyranny of what your type tells you to do. So don't set yourself up for failure with impossible asks as your New Year's resolutions, right? Why the impossible ask and why the tyranny of your type? The impossible ask because our types literally ask us to jump through hoops that cannot be jumped through, which, that on its own, wow, that's a lot, right? But then our types ask us to jump through those hoops that cannot be jumped through on a daily basis, right?
Yes,
So that's tyranny if I've ever heard of it.
I know. And that's what makes it so hard is we have this belief. Part of the tyranny is we take on the belief of our type. So, for example, as a type 9, I take on the belief that I need to get along with everyone, that I need to look for ways to always calm conflict down. And I'm actually mentioning a couple of tyrannies for nines: to be harmonious ourselves, to get along with people, to avoid conflict or make sure conflict doesn't happen. So there's more than one tyranny to each type. How about for you? Where do you see it in yourself?
Well, for sixes, the hoop that we have to jump through, I'm a type 6 on the Enneagram, is cover every base. That's the impossible ask for a type 6. Um, Meaning cover every base all the time, forever, so that nothing bad ever happens. Is it possible? No. But does my type request that I do that and kind of demand that I do that? Oh, yeah, every day, all day. Yeah.
And I see this in therapy all the time. These beliefs that people, when people identify their types, and I use the Enneagram in my therapy all the time working with people. And when people identify their types, it gives us a real shortcut to seeing these tyrannies, these places where they feel they must do something. We often challenge those beliefs in therapy, which is a really good thing. But anybody, whether you're in therapy or not, can come to this workshop and have a chance to pay attention to some of these impossible asks and to get some help with how do we challenge them? How do we look at them in ways that don't just keep us blindly doing or thinking we have to do these things, especially because they're exhausting. It would be really good for everyone to realize how much energy they could free up for themselves if they weren't following along with the tyranny of what their type asks them. And ask is a really nice word because it demands that they do unless you're aware of it, and then you can stop.
Yeah, challenging these impossible mandates from our type is really important because otherwise, we're suffering under it all the time. Um, I think of ones, right, suffering under the impossible demand or impossible ask of do everything ethically all the time, right? That's, it begs the question, what is ethical or not? It brings us back to the subjective. It's an impossible ask. It's impossible to do, right? Or I think of for twos, the impossible ask is anticipate everybody's needs.
Yes, and
Like,
we will get with each type, we'll get down into the more nitty gritty. It isn't just the most obvious things of types. So anybody who's interested in talking about or learning more about for themselves their own types, impossible asks, demands, we would love to see you at this workshop. And we know that you are going to really get a lot out of this for your own personal growth.
we want to see you get out from underneath the tyranny
Yes.
of your type, right? We want to help you expose what your type is trying to push you into the corner, make you do all the time, and say, hey, it can't really be done. And let's start to try to let this go a little bit.
And we're gonna do it in a fun, very deeply personal way. We do small group classes, lots and lots of personal discussion. So come join us.